totally screwed up against my team. My team beat his team in Toronto, and it was awesome. Nanner. But
Toronto.
the more important thing is that nobody in the East won this week except for DC.
Huh.
And now we are top of the East. We're borrowing it from Kansas City for the
Is that
time
how
being.
you get to the top of the East? Is everybody else in your conference loses?
Exactly.
I've been wondering what it would be like to have a team that plays in a slightly weaker conference.
Slightly, that's generous.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have our conference doesn't have some of its biggest stars, like Tim Cahill and the
Yeah,
SEC
we
guys.
sent a lot of people to the World Cup. Just a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he's back, but I can pretend that he's not.
Yeah. Roy Miller, big names.
So we're gonna rename this. This is no longer not lightning round. This is now the gloat corner.
I have literally nothing to gloat about.
You guys want to talk about West Coast, Best Coast?
Clarification.
Just gloated about the Western.
I think DC has a legit shot at an automatic Champions League berth for winning the regular season East, and B, making it to the Eastern Conference Finals and losing 7-1 against Kansas City.
Wow.
I support both of them. I believe that those are both fair.
Yeah.
I think DC definitely has a legit shot at getting the consolation prize CCL entrance.
And we're definitely
because you're going to win the East, but you're going to lose the Supporters' Shield by like 15 points.
Oh yeah, for sure. But that's whatever. I mean, you guys have already won the Supporter Shield. You're on your way.
We have a 7-point lead. I don't know about that.
Be careful, because I remember there was a lot of that talk last year at the end of the year.
There was a lot of that talk last year, and there was a lot of that not happening last year.
Yeah. So.
But it's okay because I'm not a Seattle fan, so I can jinx them all I want.
Oh man. I'll go. I think Chivas winning 2 games in a row deserves. Chivas winning two.
Isn't it 3 now?
Oh, it's 3. Yeah, Chivas winning 3 games in a row, while breaking the lowest attendance records, just consistently. To be those players out there playing on in an empty stadium, like de facto empty stadium, and putting in actually fairly good shifts. Granted, against San Jose and Montreal, who are both having pretty miserable seasons, but Chivas is also not having a great season. And that they've put together a couple wins, and Cubo Torres is playing really, really well. I would be shocked if he's still. I mean, it's sad. He's going to leave MLS. He's going to go back to a Mexican club at the end of the season, and it would be great if he would stick around. But
well, I mean,
at least they're getting they're getting like a reasonable send off. Like okay, they're like not just because you could see when they were saying, okay, team's done, rebranding everything, scrapping everybody. You could see it. Like this is going to be the year that they're going to get like 6 points for the season or something like that, But
what they're doing is they're giving new ownership a couple of toys to play with. Cubo Torres mostly, and then Jermaine Jones later, and then maybe.
You're really on this thing, Jones to the Aztecs.
Yeah, I think it's going to happen.
We'll see.
You heard it here first. Ian's on top of it.
I don't think I'm the first one. I think a lot of people have been hinting at that because he wants to play. He has a home in LA, like Klinsmann does. But him going to the Galaxy would be boring, and it'd be a nice gift to new ownership to give them Jermaine Jones.
Actually, it might not be that boring. LA has not been particularly impressive this year, honestly. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the first year that LA doesn't make the playoffs in a long, long time.
I've been on that train. I've been on that, like, LA doesn't look particularly impressive, and I also, because of the Sounders' collapse last year, am not a huge fan of points per game, but there was a great statistical article that came out this morning that said the Galaxy have, like, a 95% chance to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So
they're going to make the play. So I feel like I'm not sure if I've, like, written this or if I've said it here, but I like that LA is a borderline playoff team, and I like that Houston is bad, because those teams have been relatively constant over these last couple of years, and them going into a decline kind of shows the overall improvement of MLS. Like Seattle has improved so much from last year.
So much.
Just
God.
the amount of Yedlin's improved so much, and that's part of it. But another part of it is
Chad Marshall is
Chad
why
Marshall.
we have improved. And honestly, Gonzalo Pineda, instead of just having Ozzy in the middle of the park, you now have two strong defensive players who can also make breakout passes. Two players have massively impact, and what do you know? It's at the spine, you know.
And Dempsey's first full year in MLS has been pretty good. Portland, I think, is like similar to the level that they were at last year. They're just not getting the results. They're going to make the playoffs, I feel like. I don't know who at the expense of, because Vancouver looks good.
I think Portland will make a strong push with the two new DPs. You know, I definitely see them again. Maybe they're in the 4th or 5th position, but I would be surprised if they didn't make it. Not shocked, but surprised.
You two play an Open Cup quarterfinal tomorrow.
Hey, that's where I was going next. Thanks, Ian.
Yeah, gonna do that. I'm gonna go down there.
First off, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, there's actually there are a lot of people who are very excited to go see this game. I think just because there's so many people who are like, I've never been to Starfire. Fuck it, let's go. Even though it's a Wednesday, I think there's 300 people coming up from Portland, and then another 50 or 60 from Seattle who are all gonna go.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great atmosphere in that tiny little stadium.
Meanwhile,
speaking of the U.S. Open Cup and our exciting match tomorrow, because for those of you that aren't sick of hearing about Cascadia games, this is a double Seattle Portland. Not only play each other in the Open Cup tomorrow, but we also have our game Sunday night on ESPN2 as well. But Open Cup, I'm getting an update right now. As of just a minute ago, Philadelphia was up over New England 2-0 in like the 69th minute on a goal from Casey and Letou. But right now it's listed as interrupted due to bad weather. So depending on if that holds, Philly will just be handed the win.
I feel like that happens so much in the U.S. Open Cup. It's not even funny.
It does. It does. It's crazy.
It never happens in MLS, but it happens literally every round in like 4 different games.
Yeah. I mean, there was a hurricane and stuff, but, no big deal. We're
going to play through the hurricane tomorrow against Houston.
So there's that game. There's that game tonight. We've got Portland and Seattle tomorrow, and then something I'm sure Ian is super psyched to talk about. There are 2 lower division teams that are still left, and they both play tomorrow.
And hopefully Atlanta gets their ass kicked. And because to hell with Atlanta. We got to talk about Orlando, by the way. They were shameful this weekend. But
we'll get there.
Before that happens, the Railhawks, I'm excited. Not as excited as I would be if I were down there, but I'm still excited. And if they win, they'll get to host a semifinal against probably Philly, and I will be there for that. I will finally be back in North Carolina to watch the Railhawks host an Open Cup semifinal, hopefully.
And who do the Railhawks have to beat?
Dallas.
Dallas.
Who got Mauro Diaz back, which how have we not talked about that?
Because we've been talking about the World Cup. We got stuff to do. Let's talk about Orlando real quick.
Orlando! Hey, crowd problems. It'll be cool. Once they get into MLS, they and San Jose can duke it out for who's got the douchier fans.
Who's the worst?
Oh, sorry, San Jose fans who listen. I know that the vast majority of you are very, very nice people.
Yeah, and I don't think San Jose's ever done the trifecta of trying to set the opponent's stadium on fire, punching a 12-year-old kid, and setting off smoke bombs in the opponent's supporter section.
They've come close. They certainly did their best.
Not as bad as Daily Two Things.
Yeah,
I feel like Orlando only pulled it off because it's lower league and the security is slightly more lax. I feel like if San Jose was given those same situations, they might have also pulled it off.
Here's the thing. According to my lower league source, which is username Iron Goalie, they had extended security at Al Lang Stadium, which is where Tampa plays, around the Orlando supporters, and even that did not help. apparently.
You can't have a security guard with every 12-year-old. I guess that's the bottom.
Yeah. So what, like, what does an ownership group even do about that? I mean, you see like
faster is what they do. Jesus.
Yeah.
Orlando hasn't said a damn thing.
Yeah.
Have they at all?
They did.
I mean, but legitimately, what do you do? So you see what goes on in England, and to lesser extents in Spain and Germany, where they look on closed circuit TV and they identify who people are and revoke their season ticket or whatever and don't let them back in. We don't do closed circuit stuff, I think, at any of the stadiums except maybe like Seattle and New England, because I know they've got pretty beefed up camera situation for the NFL teams. But I mean, that's just not something that we do in MLS. So then you just wind up punishing the whole supporters group, which is what you see in San Jose, and that inspires a huge backlash. And you get a lot of people unhappy that they're not allowed to wave banners and do all these other things. So what do you do as an owner theoretically?
I think USL Pro needs to take a strong stance and make Orlando play their next couple of regular season games in front of empty stadiums. Because it's
way too much. That's absurd.
Yeah, that's never happened in the U.S. So the team.
No, you're talking about you can clear out the supporter section if you want to, but you're talking about their opening MLS games, or are you talking about their next few?
I'm talking about the next couple of USL Pro games, which they play at the Disney complex, in front of 5,000 people. So just do that.
Yeah, that'll never happen.
Rather than banning traveling.
Yeah, travel ban seems far more
because it happened on someone else's turf. More
realistic, but it's harder to enforce.
You want to but you don't want to take fans away from a team that's just trying to find its feet still, especially when a lot of those people who would be coming to those games are families, things like that, not people who are punching families and things like that. Like you can shut down the supporters group. I think. And also,
family people, not family punching people.
This is the first time it's gone that far. They haven't had a chance to see.
But the Orlando supporters group, especially in the games against Tampa Bay, have been particularly shitty. Especially in USL Pro circles, they're sort of like the Atlanta and Cosmos, but even to a more violent extent or a more disliked extent. Just how their supporters groups behave. I mean, it's all of them. It's the Ruckus, it's the Ironline Firm, and I know there are a lot of Orlando supporters on our MLS, and some of them might listen to this, but I feel like you have to take. I understand it's an extreme measure to go to, but you really need the leadership of those supporters groups to get the message that they need to control their people, because there are people who would do that exist in every supporters group, but they don't because the leadership is hypothetically pretty strong. I mean, Seattle and Portland, you guys have so many supporters. At least, maybe a handful of them are terrible people, but they don't do anything because you guys have good leadership, right?
There are more there's more than a handful that are terrible people, but we have really, really good self-policing tactics. We actually have a whole group of our own security in addition to the stadium security, and we have no hesitation to kick people out of the section and ban them for, slurs or inappropriate behavior, throwing things, whatever it might be. It happens all the time, and, we're pretty solid about self-policing. So you're right, strong leadership makes a difference.
And
on that note, guys, I am running out of time here.
Okay.
You want to do some bold predictions? Everybody's favorite?
Let's do it. Come on, don't think about it. What do you have to think about? It's bold predictions.
I'm ready. I'm going to do it. I'm jumping in. Okay. Bold prediction. Seattle-Portland Open Cup goes to extra time. Seattle wins on penalties. But Portland gets their revenge and beats Seattle at CenturyLink on Sunday night.
I was actually going to say the inverse. I think that Portland will nick it tomorrow in the Open Cup, but will lose on Sunday. That's not even that bold. That's actually pretty conservative, I think. More bold prediction. I think Carolina's going to beat Dallas.
Oh, God damn it.
You're allowed to say the same thing as me.
I was going to take it one step further and say So I'm going up to the Pacific Northwest in a couple weeks. But my bold prediction is I'm going to go there again in September or October, whenever the Open Cup final is, to see the Railhawks play against the winner of Portland Seattle in the Open Cup final.
My bold
That
prediction.
is bold.
Oh, that is bold.
My
Chris?
bold prediction isn't that bold in a won't it happen kind of way as much as it is just going right against Ian. My bold prediction is that LA2 will never be called the Aztecs because you will not have the Galaxy and the Aztecs playing in the same town because the team names would just sound like a bunch of penny slots.
You know, I got to agree with Ian though. I think the winner of the Portland-Seattle game wins the Open Cup.
That's not what I said. I said we were going to play against Carolina.
I'm taking it a step further, Ian, and I'm saying out of the remaining teams, I think the winner of the Portland-Seattle game wins the Open Cup. Uh-oh.
There it is. Hey, everybody, follow us on Twitter. Whatever that is.
Yeah. And we're on iTunes. We never say that anymore. We're also on Stitcher.
That's why I'm here. I'm a blast from the past, everybody.
Oh, and if you want to follow us individually, or at least me, I'm Ian Armas Foster. You guys can say your Twitters too if you want.
Nah.
Okay.
Yeah. Everybody just look through Ian's. He tweets at us sometimes. Just find us there. It's like a weird thing, but there's no weird hats and shirts going on. Anyway, that's the weird and unnecessary note we can call it on.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Next time.